Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Bill. You laughing at me?
I am. What was that noise? I've never heard that before.
Which one? What did I make?
I don't know. I heard some sort of noise as we were fading in here. Was that not you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something else. I'm trying to get my ice wrap on here so that way I continue the habit of icing this thing. So we're good to go now. I'm iced up. Let's go.
Well,
Man, how was Monday?
Good. I'm not mic'd up today because my daughter kept the iPad overnight. I didn't realize it, and so it's like on this much battery power. So I got to plug it in versus plug in my mic.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Day was good. Day was good. It was a very productive day. I got a lot done. It was a good Monday. I was mentally tired after yesterday. I was more mentally tired than I'd been in a while after just a day of work for some reason. I'm not sure. I was having a hard time staying concentrated. So maybe that's why I felt like I got a lot done, because I was really battling the concentration animal and fought through it real hard.
Maybe. Yeah. What when you're fighting the concentration animal, like what does that show up like for you? Like how do you realize that you're under the weight of that, as opposed to just like looking up and realizing, why am I? Because like sometimes it's like a you lose time. You know, you're going in to go do something and you're like, oh, and then you get sucked into like three other things. All of a sudden you look up and you're like, what was I going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It wasn't one of those type of days where I just dove into something I wasn't supposed to really be working on. It was more like I was in the things I was supposed to be in, but like every 6 seconds, like my head would pop up and think of something or look at something or want to write something else down, or it was just like constant like distraction. You know, when you distraction stuff, like where you're like, oh, I thought of this new thing. Let me go whiteboard this. Or, you know, my daughter comes in and goes, hey, can you help me with my math? Like, that's good distraction. It wasn't that. It was stupid stuff. It's like,
yeah. Anyway. Because I think that for like a while we do this stuff without even realizing it. You know, like we just look up and be like, yeah, I knocked out so much today. And, you know, largely you haven't done all that much. And, you know, sometimes you're just not even aware of it. Like I'm just happy. I was talking with someone the other day and they're like, man, you sure do seem to complain about not being focused on a regular basis. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can focus, but everybody struggles with it in some way, shape, or form, right? So just telling yourself that you're really good at something doesn't actually force you to put in the work to improve. So when I look at it from the other side of, you know, it could be better, then it allows me to work on it. But the other side of it is everybody else is doing these same things. They're just not aware of them yet, right? You know, they think that they're just knocking stuff out, and it's like, well, are you sure? You know, are you winging it, or are you just doing stuff to feel busy? So,
priority is always what I'm preaching in my accountability group is you can be distracted. That's fine. We live in a distracted world. The point is what are you spending your time on? Because I think that's the biggest piece of leverage. Because once you start getting into, hey, I'm not going to be distracted for this hour, to me, you should have already been working on the right stuff to begin with. Okay, now let's concentrate on how do we do a power hour? How do we do a Pomodoro? You know, sprint. How do we like those sorts of things? And I think a lot of people start in reverse. Like, I want to try out this Pomodoro thing. I'm like, great. Why don't you cut out 3 hours of your day on working on that BS and put it to development?
We have stoked a fire in Jake Jordan, everybody, today. Do not put techniques in front of your intentions, because that goes against the impact over attention brand.
Oh, the personal fire inside of me brands. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, I love it. I've been waiting to get you riled up and like, you know, poke you with the stick in the cage to get you really like fired up about the stuff you're fired up about, and that's one of them.
That's how you get me Facebook politics fired up. You start talking about you know, people, because it's brutal.
Okay, all right. Ease off, Bill. Ease off. We don't need to have a political debate here on the show this morning.
Yeah, let's give it another 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Manesh is on. What's up, man? And then Michelle, hey.
What's up, Manesh?
Good morning,
I
Michelle.
can't, dude. I can't wait to get my padlock. I downloaded the app yesterday. I was playing with it last night, and now I've got Manesh like all up in my DMs and everything, and it's amazing. I can't wait to get this thing and do nothing with it.
See, you're actually you're about to set off Manesh. That statement.
No, I mean, when I saw this thing, I was just really excited about it for like timing and reinforcement and stuff. But like digging into the community and the stuff in the Facebook group, it's so much more than what I thought it was on the top level of it. I mean, I'm stoked. I can't wait to get the device and start playing with the app and start setting some timers and stuff like this. I'm really fired up about it.
Speaking of up in the DMs, look what I
That's
got.
true.
Mr. One John Hill yesterday.
That's right. That's right, everybody.
On his text club, as I shall henceforth refer to it.
That's right.
And he a little something yesterday.
It's funny. I'm super geeked out about this like text thing, right? I don't have to deal with the algorithm anymore. I don't have to deal with being as present on social media as I have been forever. And also, it allows me to deliver very specific things to people who need my help, right? Like everybody who gets a CRM from me, like what happens now is they get a 1 week touch in, right? So for the next 4 weeks, like, hey, what's going on, what's working, what isn't, and stuff like this. But some people need a daily nudge. I can now send that daily nudge through this like text app. Like, hey, just take 15 minutes. If you missed yesterday, don't beat yourself up. Start again today, right? Just get in there. And
is there levels of opt-in for this? Like, so for example, if I wanted to do 3 different levels of texting, like a daily, a weekly, and a monthly or something, and now you do that all from one phone number, or would I have to have different phone numbers?
One number. What happens?
Like, for example, like I don't want daily text from John. I want weekly text from John. Can I choose that? That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So the way that it works is essentially you end up like choosing the communities that you're in, right? And so what happens, can I screen share? Should I just show you how this thing looks? Would that be of value to other people?
And
I don't know if we can either. But anyway, I create these like communities is what they're called inside of the service. And what you do is, it's going to take some time to figure it out and everything else like this, because not everybody wants a daily text from me. That's totally fine.
Right.
I get that completely. But if you're a CRM client, you need a text from me daily, at least for the first couple of weeks to start building new habits and things like that.
I think it'd be amazing for onboarding people. And then even like if you have a client and you bring them onto another service that they've been a client for 6 months and you want to onboard them to someone else, they get a new set of 30-day onboard text for 20
And all the for like Sales Lab, which is like Tuesday afternoons and Thursday mornings, sure, there's an email that goes out and you're on Zoom, but if you're not living out of your calendar and stuff like that, you might not show up. So now I can send out a text like, hey, Sales Lab starts in 30 minutes or Sales Lab starts in 4 hours, come check it out. I can really play with it. And I don't have to deal with any of the other stuff that bothers me about all of this, right? All the social stuff and engagement posts to keep my like engagement high. What's your favorite color, everybody? I mean, there's got to be a better way,
We're about to get John fired up. Watch out.
Huh?
We're about to get John.
Yeah, right. Because I get it and I understand it, but it's also you're flooding the whole system with like BS, right? In the sake of trying to get engagement. And thinking about a couple of weeks ago when I did that thing where I had to go tell a certain number of people about my group, right? And I was sending that message, and I got yelled at by that one woman. Largely the thing that I've like figured out is like nobody cares about like my motivations, right? Like, maybe if you're here and you're watching this and you know me really well, you might be interested in my motivations, but like the average client just isn't, right? So they don't care that I'm trying to, sneak into their daily habits and change how they think about selling and communication. They just want the end product of it. So
yeah, I think and that's the biggest lesson I took from StoryBrand overall was that people don't care about what you have to say about yourself. They just don't.
Yeah.
Like hardly ever. You got to make it about them. They're the hero.
And that's why all these salespeople struggle with like trying to be perfect in the moment because they're thinking about the perfect question, the perfect witty answer, the perfect gotcha step or anything else like this. When all you really have to do is just slow down and listen completely to the person that you're talking to, because they're going to give you those nuggets if you're listening and there's trust, right? And without the trust portion, you don't have anything at all. So you might as well just be talking to yourself, and that's what most salespeople do. So you really got to dig into there and figure that stuff out. But it's not about like the perfect question. It's about the perfect question in the moment that you only pick up when you're listening really well. That's the key to all of this.
Right. Exactly. It's almost like there's only thing that you could even get close to perfect is listening. Like you can listen
Absolutely
well, and that's the best thing to be perfect at.
Yeah, like, I'll do like a group training, or I'll work with clients, or I'll do one of these role plays, and everyone's like, man, like that's so awesome. How do you do that? And it's like, for a while it bothered me, because like I just thought that I had this kind of trait, this ability to ask better questions than other people. And then I was like, no, that's bullshit. Like that's just not true. So what does this come down to? And man, I spent a bunch of time trying to figure out like what makes me capable of asking questions that make people say like, whoa, that's the question I should have asked. And it's just based upon listening and pausing and not rushing with my question, right? They took a second to tell you the thing that they told you. It's your job as a salesperson to figure out why they told you that and how it plays in with the rest of the conversation.
Yep.
That's precisely why you're there, because marketing can do the majority of the rest of it. You're there to answer their questions, to help them figure out if this is a fit for them or not.
Yes. Good marketing should attach to the emotion they're feeling, because they can't solve the problem, and it should preview the reason that you're a good reason to solve the problem, and it should even give them opportunities to see, hey, other people have done this and it's worked. It has solved the problem. So okay, now I'm ready to talk to somebody about my true questions, objections, and that's where the line kind of does this, right? And kind of
absolutely. So I'm curious, because I saw this post the other day, and I've been thinking about it since I saw it, and I don't know if we have talked about it, but the line said, if a company has got really good marketing, they've got really bad salespeople. And if you have really bad marketing, then your salespeople are better. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a general statement that probably has some merit in some places. I think, like if you have really good salespeople.
Are you running for office right now? Or like, that was such a middle of the line.
I just mean, I think it's probably true in some areas. I do. It's not true of everybody, but like, yeah, I think you have really good salespeople. You may not feel like you have to put as much time into marketing. I feel like if you load up on inbound marketing, you may feel like, we're getting them all the way pretty much to the finish line. We need to pay all this money for salespeople, which is wrong. And sure, people survive on doing both of those techniques, but why would you do that when it's just as easy to set up a win-win situation for everybody and close more deals and have happier salespeople and happier marketing people, right? Because that's something I feel like nobody ever talks about is marketers do all this work on content and engaging people on social media and different things like that. And then if you don't have good salespeople on the back end to close your deals, your data may be skewed, because you may be doing all the right things to get people to your front doorstep, and you don't have salespeople who know what to do, and they can even be killing deals, or they're just not doing much of anything. They're like, do you want to buy? Why not? All right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's can skew your conversion data as a marketer to go, oh, well, I must be doing something wrong, which you might not be,
Well, that's every marketer's like worst fear, right? Is that you sell somebody a marketing package and they're terrible at selling, and then they're not able to close the door, and then they want to come back and be like, well, the loads are crap. Well, we figured out the targeting together. Like, you told me this was the market you wanted to go after.
Right.
Is it really my fault? Do these people not fit in the marketing category and the breakdown that we were looking for? And that's hard, because then when I go talk to those same people, I'm like, hey, you want to talk about some sales stuff? They're like, no, I close everybody. You know what I'm saying? And because sales is often viewed as this thing that you are born with or not, it becomes really hard to talk about trying to improve it. Right? It's like this makes sense on some level. This trait is too precious to the majority of us, right? And heaven forbid we have to go admit to somebody that we're not as good at this thing that we want to be, right? Especially because it's built into this thing. You either have it or you don't, right? It's not looked at all like a skill that you can develop with time and effort. It's just, you're born to be in sales. You can sell a popsicle to a woman wearing gloves and all this nonsense that just makes the whole thing worse.
Right. Yeah.
But I think about that call with the HubSpot guy who just thought he just had it, right? And when I was like, okay, who should not be using this? He was like, nobody. And I was like, wait a minute, the marketing company who tells me that I should have a marketing avatar is now telling me that their software is built for everybody? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, man, I'm out. And he was like, what do you mean you're out? And I was like, well, this is like a pay-to-play kind of deal anyway, which I'm not a huge fan of. And B, I don't think that I'm going to get good support from a company who thinks that this is for everybody. And C, I think I can build a cheaper stack than what you're charging monthly. And the dude just shifted and got pissed. And he had this entitlement because they've got so much marketing that these are just supposed to be like knockdowns. Like, just, okay, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. And that's
crazy. If you've got that much
what I was thinking about with
sorry, delay, I guess. I was gonna say the crazy part of that is if you have such a volume play, you should know as a salesperson, probably have a bad sales manager, maybe, that's you're not gonna get all these. We're gonna send a lot of leads your way, and because just by the sheer number of volume, this is not gonna be for everybody. So don't be upset if you're below your normal close rate, because we're just plowing leads your way.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody that I talked to was like, okay, how do I close every deal? It's like, that's not the goal, right? And there's always going to be a volume element when you are having conversations with prospects, like always, right? And in those moments is where you earn your stripes as a salesperson, right? Are you looking out for the team, and are you looking out for the company, or are you just looking out to for the prospect because you just want to get paid on the end of it? One of them is a valued salesperson, and the other one is a huckster, right? The kind of person who just floats by and shows up because they've closed the deal recently, but there's no process, there's no repeatability, there's no treating it like any other role, and that makes it worse. It's not how it's supposed to be, right? Sales is a process just like anything else is. When you put the time in to build one out, which means that you can then bet on it, right, and duplicate it and keep it going. But there's still too many of the old guard. Look what I closed today, and I'm going to close this next month. I could close it right now, but I'm not going to because it's going to look better next month, and all these things that salespeople do because there's no consistency to their intention.
Yep. Yeah, Mike says there's both muscles that have to be developed, which is true. You got to develop.
Absolutely, Mike, for sure.
Well, what's your day look like today?
Oh, let's see. I've got I have a book conversation today. I had one yesterday as well. We have office hours, 2:00. So if you have questions about sales, tech, CRMs, hiring, if you just want me to role play and sell your stuff back to you, that'll be at 2:00 Central today. If you're on my text list, you'll get a reminder here shortly, but I won't send one to Jake because he doesn't want to be texted daily. And then I have a digital networking coffee with a guy from 4 to 5, and I have lots of blocking and tackling to do. I have an idea for an app actually to make blocking and tackling a little bit better, but it's a shiny thing. So I've written it down and I'm putting it away.
Good for you. Good for you. That's discipline right there, Joe, ladies and gentlemen. John has an app idea and he's not working on it today. Willpower or something. There must be baked goods involved somewhere.
So first day of school yesterday, it was awesome. She killed it. I'm completely blown away. And the book conversation I had yesterday was actually really enlightening. She went through a process and got a publisher. We talked about all of that stuff and the timeline, everything else. She has done work with Coca-Cola and stuff like this and done some pretty big, she's like a leadership person. And she said the book has helped her. She said, I'm now getting people reaching out to me who would never have reached out to me without the book. And I'm like, okay, that's legit. So I don't know. I've had lots of conversations now. Melissa has read it, and I'm getting lots of good feedback that there is a book here. We just need to figure out what direction we're going to do because I'm kind of all over the place with it. So yeah, I don't know. I might. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on this thing because paralysis by analysis. Do I just go the Melissa route, get it knocked out as quickly as I can, take it to Amazon and in paper Kindle like the thing and self-publish? Do I want to go the slightly more elevated route with a publisher so that way we can, do it a little bit bigger, or do I just get one of these coaches who's really good at pre-selling and making sure you land on some sort of list somewhere, so that way you can market the crap out of that? I don't know. I kind of have 3 areas. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to go.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that at some point, because
sure.
I have opinions based on what you want to accomplish with it. Because a lot of reason people write books these days is so they can be known as someone who wrote a book. It just adds authority to your name on your website, your profile, things like that, which I think is a totally legitimate thing. And then it becomes, okay, well, you're actually trying to market yourself with your book. This becomes something where you're trying to get your message out so more people can find you. The Mark Steele route is what he went. He actually wanted it to become a bestseller, and he wanted people to see it, and of course, so that he could get hired. And then, or do you want to make money selling books, which no one does? So
yeah, I don't want to make money selling the book. I'm not concerned about that at all. If we ended up doing a thing to where it was self-published and I was essentially giving the book away to cover ad costs, because I know that that's a popular kind of book funnel, I'm totally down for that as well. As long as we're covering the cost of, like ad plus book, so do one of those free plus shipping offers or something along those lines. Right. But my concern about that is it's so easy to do that, Traffic and Funnels has got their sales course, and there's, 4 or 5 other people with their sales courses. My concern is that mine just gets lost there in the middle and doesn't get the attention that, I believe it's worth. So,
yep, just gotta have the right offer, so that people
gotta have the right offer, right? The right targeting, for sure.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, man, I've got a big old blocking and tackling block this morning, so I'm excited about that. Got just lots of little bitty stuff, and it was funny because in my journaling last night when I was sitting down and trying to do my questions, I just kept coming up with these little bitty tasks, and it was so weird. I was just so we talked about this yesterday on my walk. I started off kind of not in the mood, and then by the end of it, I was just grinning like an idiot for some reason, just overwhelmed with joy, I guess. And then last night I'm journaling, and I can't even get my questions out, which is how I normally journal, because I'm like, oh, I got to do this, 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 and I kept coming up with these to-dos, and I couldn't really kind of rein it in and get into journaling until I got all that out. And the whole time I'm just sitting there smiling like an idiot, I was just euphoric about the practice being consistent, and the good stuff coming out of it, and just happy with my current position, just based upon the travel from a couple of months ago.
Right.
But yeah, I've been listening to daily Stoic videos on YouTube on my lunch break each day. So I think it's just a culmination of all the work starting to show up in kind of unrelated but related ways. Mm-hmm. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. Obviously, if you're doing things that are causing you to feel better, then you're going to do better in other areas of your life, right? Walking and stuff at lunch, and journaling at night. And if those are truly feeding, the inner you, the self two, I guess, because the self one's learning, self two's applying. Yeah, if you're feeding that self, it's just going to perform better, right?
Yeah. This is the big thing behind Sales Lab, right? Your self one, self two divide, I think it is largely dependent upon how much of an action taker you are, right? Depending upon your personality type and everything else like this, you might be slow to take action. And I kind of had this epiphany on Friday, and I wrote it down on the whiteboard, but I'll talk about this in a second. But the best way to get self one to shut up is to do more reps, so that way you can be in self two, right? Which is why we've got the role play as part of Sales Lab, right? Come in and practice, right? If you come in and you do 5 referral asks over the course of an hour, and then you go have a sales call, it's going to be easier to ask for a referral because you just spend so much time doing it. It's not about what'd you say?
I said you're already in motion then.
Absolutely, right? It's not that for some of this, it's not about getting you to improve on it. That's going to happen, but just start asking on a regular basis because you know that it's in front of you, right? And yeah, I'm super excited about Sales Lab being a way to
connect those dots, really, right?
Yeah, well, and to make it easier to stay in self too when you're in sales conversations, because self one is really easy to just like show up and be like, oh, you're stupid, blah blah blah, all these things, and take you down a path that doesn't serve you.
Right. Exactly. Cool. Well, unfortunately, I'm about to lose my iPad. My daughter kept it in a room. I didn't know it, so I
All good,
started
man.
5%. So we're lucky we made it this far.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's wrap this up and go about our days. Do you need anything from me today, Bill?
No, I still haven't watched your link that you sent me because I
Hmm.
that was like weekend work, and then it passed me by, and so I'll put it on this weekend's docket.
Okay.
We're good, man. We're good shape today. You anything for me?
Awesome. Man, I think I'm good. Yeah, just gotta make sure I use the blocking and tackling time productively as opposed to getting sidetracked with other stuff. So that'll be the real test. When my Pavlok gets here, that'll a little bit easier because I can just set up like 20-minute timers. Are you working? Are you working? Are you working?
Well, the ultimate would be is if a hand came out of the watch.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll put it on Melissa, and that way she can slap me every 20 minutes if I'm not working.
Bro, you have no problem there.
That video was awesome.
Cool. All right, Bill.
All right, Bill. Have a good day, man. See you in the morning.